Hello, this is Tim Cronin, Superintendent of the Decorah Community School Districts, and I'm going to talk with Nicole Cody, orchestra teacher for Decorah Community School District today, just kind of find out a little bit about what's been happening with the orchestra program and what's coming up. So to start with, Nicole, with me being kind of new to the district, can you tell me a little bit about your background with the district, how long you've been here, and your history in Decorah?
Yeah, sure. I started teaching in Decorah as an orchestra teacher in fall of 2009. It was more or less my first job out of college. I'd done some small things between college and here, my first real job. Been here ever since. I teach orchestra. A couple years after starting, I added AP Music Theory. Teach that class as well and have for now maybe 8 to 10 years. And I coach the music listening team, which is in its 4th year.
And so right away, I've got questions. And I'll go to music theory. What if I'm in music theory? What do I learn in music theory?
Yeah, our music theory class covers written theory. So we learn all the fundamentals, of course, in terms of how to build a chord, how to build a scale, how to write 4-part harmony, how to analyze music that we're looking at in terms of its harmonies, in terms of its melody, in terms of how the composer's craft. So what the composer did and why it sounds the way it does. We then do all of those things by ear as well. So just being able to listen to music and describe it in its component parts. And then we do a lot of ear training. So we're learning how to basically write down what we hear. So, we listen to melodies and truly transcribe them. What is this melody that you're hearing played right now? What is this 4-part harmony that you're hearing? What chords are they? What is the soprano doing? What is the bass doing? And then being able to error detect. So here's some music being played. There's errors in it. I can guarantee it. What are those errors? And then they also need to learn how to sight sing to be able to pull a melody off the page without assistance, basically.
Okay. Very good. And then my next question, since I know a little bit about what an orchestra does, can you tell me about what the music listening team is all about?
Yeah, music listening team is a really cool thing we stumbled upon listening to Minnesota Public Radio on the way to school one year. It's mostly based in Minnesota, but we reach out to the neighboring states. I'm one of the board members now, neighboring states and also Utah. So it's Minnesota, okay, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Utah, obviously. We get this study guide, happens to be sitting right next to me, attached to my keys in the fall. It's got about 50 works in it. Each work has a page attached to it. You can see this one right here, full page of information. So we've got a study guide of about 50 pieces, and our job is to be able to identify them by ear in as little as 2 seconds. So, name that tune style. Okay. What did you just hear off that?
I appreciate you relating it to something I can understand.
Yes, you're welcome. We are answering questions just based on the material that's in the book. So what style of music is this? What genre was this? Who won the Pulitzer Prize in 2014 for their work? Anything that's in the book is fair game. That's very similar to a lot of academic style competitions, book-a-thons. That's maybe the wrong term, but that kind of thing, and Byrathon. And then our last round, and this is where kind of the rubber meets the road for students, is any composer that's in the book is fair game into the last round. Things that will be played in that round won't be anything that's on the study guide. So if Beethoven is on the study guide, and I believe he is this year, seems unlikely that he's not, any of his other works are fair game, and the students would have to identify, oh, I think that's Beethoven, and he's a classical or romantic composer, depending on how they categorize him. So that's the really tough round, and what we're kind of prepping for is, I think that sounds sort of like Caroline Shaw. I think that sounds a little bit like Michaud, and so on. That's really tough, but that's the high level stuff that we're going for.
And so so we have music listening competitions.
Yeah. We compete in 2 levels. So our regional competition will be in January. We compete in teams of 3. So at Decorah High School this year, we have 10 teams of 3, so 30 students, which is amazing. Very exciting. Competing, they usually break up the study guide into 3 parts. So nobody's doing the whole thing necessarily, although they break it up in different ways. So students do different things. We go to the regional. We don't yet know where our region will be. It's been in Winona in the past, but I don't know yet where we'll be. And we compete against other schools. And if we get 1st or 2nd place at regional, then we move on to the next level and go to the national competition, again, from those 4 states, which is at Augsburg College, and that's in early February. Last year we had a team that qualified to go to championships, but they didn't hold the championship. We just all did it online. And then the first year we did it, we had a team that also qualified to go to championships, and they actually got 2nd place, which was really super cool. The year in between, we're in the pandemic, so there wasn't competitions in the traditional ways, but.
Well, this is something I now have to see. So I have to get that schedule from you.
Super cool.
Yeah. Even though I'm sure I won't understand much of it, it's fascinating to me to watch people like experts do their craft and competition. So do we do I'm trying to make a comparison here. So in my brain, we would host robotic events, and then we would have the national competitions or regional competitions. Prior to the regional or the district that's in Winona, are there events, just local events, or is it we just practice all year and we go to Winona?
Yep. It's that kind of academic competition style where you just prepare, and then kind of one day you get to show it off and do the best you can. Okay.
And that's, forgive me, music listening team.
Music listening contest. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Who knew?
Okay. So I understand orchestra a little bit.
Yep.
As the father of a former celloist. Cool. But I can tell you, my wife and I were super impressed with the Harvest Moon concert and dinner. That was a fantastic.
Thanks.
That was a fantastic event. I apologize. I probably didn't send you a little note, but that was a great night. So can you tell me a little bit about how that evolved in the district?
Yeah. Harvest Moon as it stands, I inherited from my predecessor, Jeanette Spildy, and over the years I've had it, it's evolved in a number of ways. We used to always host it at the Hotel Winneshiek, which was lovely. It was, beautiful there. But since Chad Elliott came on at the high school, we have the ability to have really great food and some really nice, we've gathered enough decorations to really turn the cafeteria into something really beautiful. So we now do that in the cafeteria, which has been really nice. It's obviously a lot easier there, but also we know the space, and that's really, really good for the students. This year's Harvest Moon was the good old traditional Harvest Moon. It's always been a long set of pop music, rock music, music from musicals and movies, stuff that the students usually really like to play, but doesn't always work its way into our traditional concerts. So we put it all into the Harvest Moon set, and that's good. So we get that opportunity. Since I've worked here, the orchestra was split into 2 parts. And now I have a separate 11th and 12th grade orchestra and a separate 9th and 10th grade orchestra. And so now just the 11th and 12th grade orchestra plays Harvest Moon. In the past, it was a combination of students from grades, but this is nice and clean. So it's something that the juniors and seniors get to do when they get to that level. Over the past couple of years, especially because putting on events was really challenging, we did a number of things that actually were really positive and may become a part of Harvest Moon in the future. Fall of 2020, is that right? Yeah, fall of 2020, we did Harvest Moon outside. So we did various stations around Decorah. We did a group that performed, we set an audience at the Prairie, an audience at Phelps Park, and where was the third? Oh, and the third audience was at Twin Springs. And then we bussed small groups of students between those three areas. So each audience got like 3 sets of music from the different groups that would come in. That was really kind of fun, kind of nice to have it outside. It's usually really beautiful in that first weekend in October, although it could go anyway in Iowa, who knows? We were lucky that year. It was really, really nice out. Last year we did kind of a snack box again, because we weren't fully ready to have a full meal yet in the midst of the pandemic. We did a snack box, and to me that seemed to fit really well with doing a silent movie. So we played a score to the 1920 something movie Nosferatu, which was really fun. The students still talk about it, and that's something that may come back again too, just being able to play that score to the film. That's not an easy thing to do. So it was a really good challenge, and it was a lot of fun. And that was last year's version. And then again, this year just went back to sort of traditional. Here's the general set list to mix it up. So.
And I would say I appreciated the set list as perhaps maybe not a super complicated musical palette. I recognized some songs, and so I felt that was kind of neat for me. We just recently got done with AllState. Do you want to summarize how that went?
Sure. Yeah. Our AllState auditions, like everyone across the state, were in late October. Orchestra had 9 students audition. The Northeast is a really tough audition site, which is great. Really great competition. Wonderful players from Cedar Rapids and Linn-Mar and Dubuque. We had 3 students make it, get selected for the orchestra. One, Cedric Bywell on viola, a senior, and then Simon Coots on cello. He was selected for the 2nd year in a row. He went as a junior, or as a sophomore, and now as a junior. And then Ezra Vorvik on bass as a sophomore. Again, for his 2nd time, he went as a freshman also, which we were pretty happy with. Of course, I want all my students to go because they all worked really hard, but to get 3 to get to go was still really cool. Those 3 students went down to Ames over the last weekend and performed in the AllState Orchestra with about 200 other students. In their sections, they played Shostakovich beautifully and Walton really beautifully, and some Bach in the middle. Orchestra was conducted by Alan Tinkman out of Chicago. He's the Chicago Youth Symphony conductor, and the students really, really liked him. The concert will be on Thanksgiving on IPTV, and I think on the Sunday following Thanksgiving also, if you want to check it out. But it was really beautiful. They did an amazing job, and it was cool to watch. We also had a band student, Eli Vorvik, who was in the orchestra this year, which is a pretty big honor. That means he was chosen as the top trombone player from our district to be in the orchestra. So Eli and Ezra got to be in the orchestra together. And funnily enough, at rehearsal, they were quite literally 2 feet apart, which was really funny. But all the people in the orchestra, the brothers, got to sit right next to each other.
Cool. So other things that have happened so far this school year that you want to recap for us?
I mean, we had our normal fall concert to just kind of start things off, which went really well. I have the orchestra scheduled this year in a way that I see my 9th and 10th graders separately, my 11th and 12th graders separately, and then twice a week I get to see them together, which is something we've tried to do over the last few years using flex time and other things, but built it into the schedule this year, just kind of, in my opinion, maximizing the use of our block schedule. And so I get to see them. It's been neat to watch my juniors and seniors kind of be the leaders over the 9th and 10th graders and kind of mix them all together. And, let the younger students kind of feel what a faster paced rehearsal goes with, if we're mixing it all together. They get to, experience that leadership, which is really nice. Something that's been missing over the last few years when we were in totally separate hours, different days, actually. And so that's been nice. So we got to do that perform that for the first time in October. We have another concert coming up on December 3rd, so we'll do it again. Or sorry, not the 3rd, that's a Saturday. December 5th, a Monday. We'll get to do that again. The younger orchestra is doing a really interesting piece on the next concert. It's a 6-movement piece. 6-movement piece. It goes on for some time, but with it is sort of an adapted narration of the Christmas Carol, like the Dickens piece. So each movement kind of tells a little bit of the story of a Christmas Carol. It's condensed quite a bit. It can be said in 20 minutes, but it's still really neat. So one of my seniors, Ada Lovelace, will do the narration with my younger orchestra. So we'll put that together for the first time on Wednesday, and I'm excited to hear how that all goes. Yeah, and then we'll have some percussion like we did before and mix things together.
And I should probably interject, our auditorium space. I love that facility. It's wonderful. Kind of a gift to the students and the community for use. I've been in a few other auditoriums, and maybe they're the same size, but I don't know if I feel as comfortable and feel like it's just designed really well. And I was bragging that up to someone, and they said, "Oh, maybe we take that for granted because we're just used to it." And I'm like, "Well, you should get out." I don't know your opinion on that, but it's an awesome space.
It really is. I mean, it can support a lot of different kinds of things really, really well. And that's not usual. Even our little Carrie Lee Auditorium is actually a very nice space also. I mean, we're really lucky to have 2 really nice spaces for various uses. That's not typical, I don't think, out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I perform a lot as a professional musician, and some of the spaces I play in don't stand up to our high school auditorium. So we're lucky.
Yeah. Yes, we are. So that's maybe the recap. Is there other things that maybe we should hit on that have happened so far this year?
The stuff I think that's the main things event wise that have basically happened thus far. Our AllState and we also had Iowa Junior Honor Orchestra actually down there in Ames. I forgot about that. That is an event that is just for our middle schoolers and into 9th grade. So we had 4 8th graders and 1 9th grader go this year. And that's a nomination process. Our 9th grader, Madison Lippy, plays viola, and she got to go for the second time. She went as an 8th grader also. So that was a really cool experience. There's 2 orchestras down there. They just kind of split them equally across. Our students performed under Michelle Kabish, who lives in Madison, works in the school I student taught in. I didn't teach with her, but in that school, which is sort of strange, and works for the Madison Symphony. And they really enjoyed working with her. The other orchestra was led by Dan Baldwin, and he had really nice things to say about his kids coming up through our program here in Decorah. So he's the Luther orchestra conductor.
Okay.
So that was really nice. They tend to not put our kids with him, which makes sense because we see him often. But we got to see him in concert.
Very good.
Yeah.
And we've talked about some of the things that are coming up.
Yeah.
For example, music listening contest. Sounds awesome. But other things that we have coming up. I guess you mentioned we've got an orchestra concert on December 5th.
Yep.
That's the winter concert. Anything I should know or prepare me for that? What can I expect?
Yeah, I mean, we have that piece with narration, the Christmas Carol.
Okay.
On there. That's on that next concert. The other orchestra's playing a piece called Point Lookout, which is a fantasy on Civil War tunes. It's really beautiful. We always love when pieces layer melodies on top of each other, and this one has that, where I believe it's America the Beautiful is layered on top of When Johnny Comes Marching Home. Melody layering is just the best thing. So that'll happen. The combined orchestras are playing 2 Christmas carols put together. One of them's a Spanish carol, Pastoras e Balin, I don't know it very well. I mean, I know the piece that they're playing very well. I'm not familiar with the carol. But that's been kind of fun to learn a Spanish carol that we just don't know. And then the other is an English carol, Wassail, which many people know, of course. And then the Old Orchestra is also playing a troika. A troika is a Russian sleigh ride. So there'll be some percussion because you can't do a sleigh ride without sleigh bells. With our lovely percussionists, Aiden and Alex, who always volunteer to play with us, which I appreciate very much. So that's in December. And then we'll start in December, later December, after we get past that concert, we'll start working on our February concert, which I'm really super excited about. It's still in the works, of course, because it is now November and so there's still time. But our concert's got a theme of the in-between, stories and lessons and things about change and transitions. And I met with my student planning committee yesterday, and we are just in the groundwork stage of putting together various collaborations. So we'll have some poetry matched with some pieces, some student poetry that they've written, layered and recited on top of a performance of a piece of music. And the art club's working on this theme, and we're going to have some art displayed during certain pieces. I've got dancers who are working on putting together dances that fit in that category of the in-between and the music that would go with it. Just talked to the choir director this morning, and he's going to think about maybe some pieces that we can put with orchestra and choir. It's in the early stages, but it's going to be very cool. The student planning committee's got a lot of really good ideas, and I'm excited to see what they put together.
Very good.
Yeah.
And so is that like what's the title of that concert? If we've got the winter concert in a week and a half, is this the second winter concert or early spring concert, or does it have
I believe it's titled Midwinter on the calendar,
okay.
Which I guess is fair in February. That is in fact midwinter.
Whoa. Isn't winter about over in February?
It depends on the year.
They told me when I interviewed that it really didn't snow that much up here.
They lied. Yes, February. Oh man, February. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love listening to people talk about their craft and how passionate they are, and so it's just enjoyable to kind of listen and understand our orchestra program better. Is there stuff that I haven't asked you that we should cover?
No, I mean, I think that's kind of where we are right now, and we've got lots of things going in lots of different directions, but it's all good. And we're, good way through a really good year. So
cool. And so as we kind of wrap up, could you give us a fun fact about yourself and or favorite thing to do in Decorah, or both?
Oh, fun fact. Oh no. Let's see.
Tell us something you want to do in Decorah. I mean, but if somebody's listened this long, and then maybe one of your students will say, "Oh, I know a fun fact about Mrs. Cody now."
I've got 3 students standing right over there. Maybe they have got some fun facts about me. Just kidding. They don't. They just looked horrified. No, I mean, yes, I do have a ridiculous dog. But usually the fun fact I share is that I moved directly from Machala, Ecuador to Decorah. Like my first day in Decorah was my first day back in the United States. It was very poor planning on my part, but so it goes. In Decorah, I have 2 really small children. I have a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old. So we like to walk in the prairie, and my son likes to play in the dirt. So those are what we do. We play outside and he plays in the dirt. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Those are very good things. And yes. I feel like if the students could get on camera, they've been sharing a bunch of fun facts on the side.
Well, they just left the room, unfortunately. One of them just said that I have a crazy dog, which is fair. She's not wrong. But yeah, I don't know where they went, but they've been in and out in the corner there, on and off.
Very good. Well, thanks for your time today. And
thank you.
We look forward to the upcoming winter concert.
Yeah.